they had a certain kind of confidence, but it's, they didn't have big egos. I mean, if they did, they'd always be trapped on their own petards, which was part of the beauty of the show. And that's what Gary wrote it toward, was that there was always a moral, if we got greedy or if we got, braggarts, became braggarts or anything, we always got caught, trapped, and we're always brought back down to earth. And so it was a very human flavor, and it wasn't like broadcasted or anything, but it was always in the show, and that was Gary Marshall. You can see it in all his movies and everything he does. There's always like this human kindness, this human, thinking about your own, you take thought in yourself. It's very godly, but it wasn't played up to be that way. It was just always these little, Penny and I called it the sad corner, where we had to go and say, the reason we didn't win the sweepstakes on that show is because we were willing to, do this or that for it. And I just harkened back.
He would bring humility to it. Like he'd bring a little bit of humility to it. And I
make sure that the girls, that Laverne and Shirley, were brought back down to earth.
And learned something.
One time I was made the employee of the month, and I got to run the line, and then I got a little highfalutin about myself, and then it sort of all comes crashing down. And then I realized that my friendship with her is, more important than being something I'm not. And so he always made sure that these girls were not, that they were aware never to pretend to be something they weren't, and kept their feet on the ground. But that was so subtle. I mean, in the show, but that's part of the genius of Gary Marshall.
And I think that's what made it endearing. Yeah.
Relatable. Yeah, to everybody. And then when things would happen to us, and they'd be funny things that the audience we were very aware of that. And we loved playing the fools ourselves. The joke always had to be on us, never a joke about anyone else, unless it was Lenny and Squiggy.
Yeah.
Anyone but the idiots.
Yes.
The most genius
the fall guys
in the world. Yeah.
Yes. I love it.
When you you were pregnant and you wanted to start a family and you decided to leave, how was the response to that?
Well, it was in the days before actresses. I was one of the first actresses to get pregnant who was on a show, and they didn't know how to accommodate for me, and they didn't know what to do. And I said, well, just film me, from the waist up, and as I get bigger and bigger, then I'll do the wraparounds, which means I do the first part of the show, and then the cast would do the middle part, the body of the show, and then I come in at the end. And then at the beginning of my pregnancy, I'll do that for Penny, where anyway, it got into craziness with the studio, and they said, no, we want you on these dates. These are the dates you have to work. And I said, I cannot sign this contract because you have me working on my due date. And they did. They had me working on the date I was supposed to deliver my baby. And so anyway, it was better that I just go.
And then they sent it to Hollywood, and they had you guys move to, which was kind of changed the dynamic of the show.
Absolutely. And Penny and I didn't like it. And we told Gary, we said, why are we moving? It should be here, feet on the ground, salt of the earth people. And he said, well, if you go to Hollywood, we'll have more guest stars. We can have guest stars. And Penny and I said, well, can't we have guest stars on who come and play characters, And he didn't want it that way. He did want it that way. We argued and argued. We were so upset. We didn't speak to him for about 2 days. Anyway, but he's the producer. And so we went to Hollywood. And you're right. It did change the dynamic of the show. I absolutely agree. And Penny, do you agree? Yes, she does.
Well, a lot of people aren't aware too that it hit you that Father of the Bride would be a great remake. So could you share a little bit about that, how you came up with that idea?
Well, I love Turner classic movies, and they had just begun, and I had read where Ted Turner and Turner Company had bought the entire MGM library of films, so they owned the rights to them. And that was just a curious note. And I thought, oh, all those films I loved when I was a kid. And so I was up one morning. My son was about 3, and he wanted to go downstairs and play. And so I took him downstairs. It was very early. It was like 6 a.m. And I took him downstairs and set him down. And I turned the TV on, and there was Father of the Bride on Turner Classics. And I thought, I love this movie. This would be an across the boards hit if, you got someone like Jack Nicholson playing the Spencer Tracy role. And, if you updated it, everybody would get it. And so I had this interview I had to go to that day. And it was a interview for a part in a movie. And I went in, and the producer of the movie was there. And I said, what do you think about, first I told her, I said, I'm not right for this movie, but what do you think about this? What do you think about an updated version of Father of the Bride starring Jack Nicholson? And she said, can I run with that? And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, well, if you keep me in the loop. Anyway, that's how it started. And and then just a series of things happened, getting the script to Jack, and then he didn't want to do it at that time. And then I'm trying to think of who else they sent it to. Oh, Richard Dreyfuss. But in the end, I wasn't a hands-on producer, but it turned out to be just a marvelous film with Chuck Shire and Nancy Meyer writing and directing, and Steve, of course, and the whole cast. Fabulous production, just fun, just what I thought it would be. So I was very pleased with that.
Yeah. Colleen, that came out about the same time that you got married. When I got married. I got
When
married
I was
91, and did you get married
92?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it was really,
It was right around the same.
It was
and
right
Kimberly
at the timing.
Paisley Williams actually.
Williams Paisley. She lives near us.
Not far from us at all.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do know that she's from that parts, them parts.
Them parts, yeah.
And she was marvelous.
Yeah.
There was a scene in the movie that I wanted them to keep in, and they didn't. And it's where he gives her, he has an engagement party. Spencer Tracy has it in his basement, and they say, well, you can't afford that. And he goes, just beer and some pretzels. That's all they'll want. And so he invites all these people. Everyone wants a martini, and he gets Coca-Colas, and he can't open them. And anyway, it's this marvelous scene, and they didn't put it in the movie. And I know Steve could have played that. So,
oh yeah,
as Spencer Tracy did.
Mm-hmm.
He was amazing in it,
wasn't he?
Yes, yeah.
He was I can't imagine Jack Nicholson playing that role. Because now it's Steve Martin.
It would have
Mm-hmm.
been just like you can't imagine Steve Martin playing the role in Chinatown.
No. Yeah.
Good point.
No.
It would have been different, but Jack would have. If Jack had done it, you'd be saying the same.
Oh yeah. Well, what was Terms of Endearment? How Jack Nicholson was in Terms of Endearment. Yeah. I could have seen him maybe being like that as a father.
Right. It would have been a little more. You might have sweat a little more watching it, wondering what's he going to do next.
Yes,
but, because Jack has that dynamic, and it's different than. Well, we're not going to go into analyzing.
Yes.
Right. That is true. They're both brilliant. You also did the menopause monologues for a couple of years.
Or it was menopause. What was that? Menopause the musical.
The musical. I'm sorry. So you also did Menopause the musical
monologues, which is close.
Yes.
But not a comedy.
It's the end of the day here. My tongue's getting twisted.
I totally understand, Colleen.
So you did Menopause the musical. How was that?
In Las Vegas. Las Vegas was fabulous to play it in Las Vegas. It's a wonderful. Have you ever seen the show?
I was telling Colleen I haven't. And I said, okay, we are going to have to go to Las
job.
Vegas.
It should be a job
and see
requirement.
It should be a job requirement and a tax write-off. Yeah.
And for husbands too.
Yes.
Sometimes men enjoy it more than the women. But it's so much fun. But with that, I had gone in to play one of the parts and I'd gotten really sick and I just couldn't do it. I had to go home and, and so they asked me if I'd come back and just be the moderator or and so that's all I did in the show, but I had so much fun and the cast is just brilliant. And it's lightning in a bottle, that show. And it's talk about a laugh riot. You just love it. And your husbands would too.
Oh, where was that showing when you were in it? Which place in Las Vegas was it showing?
Harris.
Okay. Yeah. I know I was just there in June and I still saw signs for it. And I was like, I really need to see this. I really need to see it.
And that's just an hour and a half. But it's so much fun. It's, it's the music is all parodies, like nothing I can do 'cause it sticks like glue to my thigh. No matter what I eat, there's always cellulite on my thigh. And but it's just fabulous. You just love it. It's a must see for you girls.
All right, put it on our list for 2022.
All right, that's right.
You have to say it. So you're still doing, you're now doing this show. Do you ever feel like you might just decide to retire? Because I know you've made a statement before that you don't love acting as much as you're growing a little bit older.
When did I make that?
You said you don't love acting as much as it was in the American Film Institute, the Chronicles, where they do interviews for each of the actors.
Mm-hmm.
And you had made this statement that you don't love acting as much as you get older.
I love stage acting. I don't like film acting as much, but I love stage acting when I can take my time with it, with the character and, but I don't love the process anymore. And I may have been relating to the way they do it now. Like when we did it, like I said, we did it like a play and went all the way through. There was rehearsal. Well, now they just give you, a sheet of paper with your lines written on it or all the dialogue, and you read it and you send it off, or you go in and you audition and they're eating their lunch, while you're auditioning for them. And I just find it just not as creative or as much fun. And I find it more corporate now. But theater is a whole different story. Theater is, I love it. And in fact, I was just thinking, what are the older roles I could play? But nobody wants to see those plays anymore.
Well, you never know. You didn't, you came up with Father of the Bride as a reboot, so you never know.
Right.
Right. So you just have to find one that you think might play well in 2022.
Right. Yes. But the thing I love to do now that I'm thinking about is to create it from the get-go, like baking a cake and doing it all the way through. So I have ideas. There's still a dance in this whole game yet.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure.
We were talking to Sharon Gless recently from Cagney and Lacey, and she said, I've got one more ensemble series in me. I've got one more.
Good for her. And she should. They should be hiring her right and left.
Yeah. Yeah. And you too. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it seems like you still got one more that you would you write another? I mean, I know obviously you have your one woman show, so that's done, but would you consider writing something else for someone else to play?
Yeah. I've got some ideas that everything, I look at TV and everything just seems to be like that. And I think somebody's got to pump some energy and some fun into this, even though we're in draconian times, let's have some fun. Let's use that and make fun of it. And so I have a couple of ideas.
Well, I'd love to see it because some shows I can't handle because I'm like, that's going to get me too sad or too depressed. And I can't.
What I want to do now. And because nobody can laugh at it because they're so upset.
Yeah.
And you're so afraid to say anything because you don't want to insult or hurt anybody. And even if it's
anything. I mean, you could have a talk show where, the three of us just stare at each other for 90 minutes because we're too afraid to say this or that or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even want to use that word. But she uses the wrong anyway.
Yeah.
You don't want to be accused of anything, and I'm so afraid they're going to have an app one day, ladies, that they have an algorithm that the app can pick up what you're thinking, and then they'll arrest you. And I think many Americans think that way these days. I'll be arrested if I, think it.
Yeah.
It's bad enough that you think it and it shows up on your phone as an advertisement later or something.
What the hell's up with that?
I don't know.
That happened. And Liza too, my friend who helps me, she says, I'll be talking about with not the phone on, not the computer on, I'll be talking about or thinking about this new recipe I'm going to make because she's a baker. And it'll come up, baking tools and, and recipes on the computer. And I've had that happen to me in so many ways. And I'm wondering, are they really listening to us? I didn't believe it at first, but now I do. And I don't care anymore. Listen.
I was like, I should say all kinds of things. They'll have a ball. They'll just have a ball. Yeah.
Or they'll arrest you, one or the
they'll
other.
Come and I'll be gone. You'll see the police car go by, Colleen, and you'll know it's me.
I'll say there's Bridgett.
I'll wave with my handcuffs on. So.
To be the police. I think it's going to be some other faction of the government, and it's going to go back to gulags. In a hole with a piece of fish every day, and that's it.
Oh man.
Bad.
There now. See, you already have a script for the next show.
There you go. The whole story.
It's funny though.
That's not funny. That's right.
I think the character could be dreaming that in the beginning, and that would be funny. Actually, yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
We're in Siberia. Like one day, that's what I've said to my friends. I said, this is getting to be like one day in the life of Ivan Desanovich. Write that down and look up that film with James Fox. And it's in the life of Ivan Desanovich.
Once in the life.
Hey, did you see Death of Stalin?
No.
I think I did. Was it Steve Buscemi in it?
Yeah.
I did see it. Yes.
See, I think that's very funny, and it's historically correct. It's a black comedy, Colleen. I think you'd like it.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild.
I'm writing that down.
It's exactly how it went down, but they do it. They put these comedy strokes in it. These.
Yeah.
I think my husband has seen that. I think I've watched.
He goes, march to the left. No, I'm not going to do that. And then anyway.
It's crazy. I mean, just the leaders and who they thought, oh, well, no, not that. Okay, this happened to this one. Okay, we'll do this one. It's wild, just wild. Yeah, it is.
It comes right out of the blue where, anyway.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Colleen.
That's right. Yeah.
Fine, I'll have to watch it and then talk to you next time when you're.
Yes, yes.
When I say one day in the life of Ivan Desanovich, that is, I'm just kind of joking there. I'm saying that that's what it's coming to. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I get, but it's not because I we just have to have faith and hope that everything will be happy and put together again where it's tattered and brutal right now. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Gosh, yeah.
On that note, well, we all have children, so we have to have hope. So
yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can imagine. I was thinking the other day, if I had kids in this, I would be in jail. I said, oh no, that's not going to be happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just kids in school. It would have been so hard. I can't even imagine. So
right now. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I would have done.
No, I was an elementary teacher, but I quit in 2012. I cannot even imagine trying to be an elementary school teacher right now. I just couldn't do it right now.
I can understand that.
Yeah, no, it's kind of, it's great. My daughter's a preschool teacher and she said, Mom, they've been home for a year and a half and it's like, they're all completely different now. Like you have to start back from scratch. So, cause it's a challenge, but
It's criminal. I'm telling you, who's thinking up these things? Okay. Don't get into politics.
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
and
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
And please come back anytime. You're going to see us in the audience.
We may have to go to Chattanooga because that's pretty close. It's only 2 hours from Nashville.
Well, then tell me when call
We'll let
Liza know.
You can come backstage or I'll come out and we'll mask up. I'll put my bubble wrap suit on. Hey.
There you go.
Well, we may have to head there, Colleen. It's only 2 hours away, Chattanooga. I was going through seeing where I could go. So yeah, we'll have to do that. Yeah.
It would be my blessing if you came.
It was a lovely conversation. Best of luck on the tour.
Yes.
And please come back anytime. We would love to talk to you again.
Thank you. It's been so much fun. Thank you, ladies.